Good morning, and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News. And good morning, and welcome again to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday. So let's get into honoring God with our bodies. God, please protect our mind and our thoughts. God, help me to fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. So I will think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. God, please protect our ears and help us to listen to your voice. God, help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, please protect our eyes from sin's damage. God, we make a covenant with our eyes not to look lustfully. God, please speak life over our mouth. God, set a guard over our mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, please help our hands to serve generously. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to our family in the faith. God, please protect my reproductive organs and help me to honor you, God, with purity. God, help me to honor you with my body. And God, please protect our feet as we walk along your path. God, let your word be a lamp for our feet and a light on our path. And with that, I want to say good morning to Spud McKinsey. Thank you so much for joining this morning and being a faithful listener. Oh gosh, we have a little bit of a jam-packed show this morning. I want to be able to get to everything. So we're going to review some of our highlighted articles on all sides. So right now, Trump's approval rating holds at 35% in May, which isn't horrible. I'm sure Reuters found that 65% of Americans, they probably aren't happy about the war. They're probably not happy about the economy. They're probably not happy about what's going on with cities. I mean, there's a lot to be disenchanted about right now in the United States. Let's see. Abilene's protest against Jared Kushner's luxury island resort plan. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know because a lot of people are saying that individuals that are associated with the president and Jared Kushner happens to be his son-in-law are enriching themselves while he is in office. And a lot of this happens behind the scenes. It happens with every presidency. You just don't hear about it as much with other members of people's families. Just saying. Scott Pelley accuses CBS Barry Weiss of political bias after being fired. They fired this guy. If they fired that guy, I'm like, wow. Okay. Ooh, okay. I mean, okay. We're just going to keep it moving. Israel and Iran halt strikes as Trump pushes for de-escalation. So hopefully they will get to some type of resolve. Now, the DOJ to denaturalize 17 migrants facing criminal allegations. Absolutely, they should be denaturalized and completely deported and never allowed to come back to the country. I don't understand why this is so difficult. If you commit a crime, you cannot get your naturalization. Like, it's real simple. It's in the Constitution. It's on our books for immigration. You can't live here among us because you don't know how to act. You need to go back to your country. It's real cut and dry. That's it. And that's it. Okay, so our topics on X. So the Knicks watch party erupts into a brawl after the Spurs game 3 upset. So the Spurs won apparently, and people from the Knicks got upset and they decided to have a brawl. Silly, ridiculous. People need to get a hold of their feelings. Okay, now the teen fights in and bear spray disrupt Lee's Summit Festival, and I think that happened in Ohio or something like that. It just looked ridiculous. Now, this third one, Newsom break the glass comment fuels election delay suspicion in California primaries. Because if a lot of people remember, I want to say it was like maybe a week, 2 weeks ago, he was like, well, we do have a break the glass um, in place to make sure that Democrats don't lose power or stay in power. Something to that effect. I'm just paraphrasing. So I wanted to look a little bit deeper into it. And apparently there's 2 primaries, right? Newsom referenced a break the glass scenario during a budget briefing to ensure Democrats wouldn't be locked out under the top 2 system. With millions of mail-in ballots pending, Xavier Becerra leads the gubernatorial race at 28%, setting up a Democrat versus Republican matchup, while in Los Angeles, Nithya Raman overtook Spencer Pratt for second behind Mayor Karen Bass. Officials explained the delays as routine safeguards for mail voting accuracy, but Trump and conservatives cry rigging, with Newsom's office dismissing claims as misinformation amid ongoing federal reviews. Here's the deal. If you can't count your ballots in one day, then you should not have mail-in voting. And it's just that simple. Obviously, there's something wrong with your system. Because if everybody else can do it, why can't you do it? And don't say you're understaffed and all this other stuff. No, you're cheating. you're flat out, you're cheating. You even put a law in place that says people can't question you. So if you're doing all of these things, sorry, you're cheating. You are disenfranchising people. You are. And as much as the Democrats always cry, oh my gosh, the Republicans are going to disenfranchise you, you're doing it. You're doing it. And the people that are in charge right now in California are predominantly Democrats. I don't even know where the Republicans are. What's going on? So I can't believe Newsom said this out loud. He did. There's a break the glass scenario. There's many people that have a deep understanding. If Democrats were locked out, I'll leave it at that. What does that even mean? That means you're cheating. That means you're cheating. I can't take it any other way.
I don't anticipate this need to be the case, but there is a break the glass scenario. And there's many people that have a deep understanding of what it would look like if Democrats were locked out. And we're going to do everything to make sure that doesn't happen. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. In his best American Psycho outfit and hairstyle. I'm just saying, this is sad. This is sad for American politics because this is why people refuse to vote. This is why people have unfortunately given up. But don't give up. Don't give up. We have a republic. And unfortunately, the ICS, let me bring them back on screen so you can see a full mass. And if you're wondering if I'm talking about the ICS is the inner circle of Satan. That's what I've coined this phrase. It's the inner circle of Satan. And here's 3 of them. Because what they are doing to California is truly demonic. It is. She's claiming homelessness is down 18% because people were deported and they unfortunately passed away. That's it. You lost people by default, not because any of those individuals were actually removed from the streets, put into an apartment, and actually moving on with their lives to live their lives through. What programs do you actually have that do that? You don't. You've got programs giving people needles and giving people fentanyl and giving people other kinds of drugs to keep them homeless. Because if you eradicate homelessness, what jobs do you have from that? What you do is you actually have aftercare jobs. That means making sure that these individuals that you've gotten off the streets stay off the streets. They don't go back into homelessness. They don't go back into their drug addiction. They don't go back into the same pattern. But see, you haven't thought that through. That's why evil is what it does. And I even have a t-shirt that says evil isn't just dumb, it's stupid. Because it always shoots itself in the foot. Because it thinks that no one else is paying attention. We're paying attention. You have our attention. You have our full attention. I'm just saying. But yes, this is the ICS, the inner circle of Satan. So we're going to move on to our next topic. And that topic is pretty much looking at crypto and how it's going to affect us going forward.
Towards tokenization is necessary.
Big things are happening in crypto. The most powerful man in finance, Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, to launch tokenized money market funds on Ethereum.
It's ironic that we see two emerging countries leading the world in tokenization and digitization of their currency. That's Brazil and India. I think we need to move very rapidly to doing that.
This is Signal. Here are the top altcoins we know the institutions continue to accumulate. So BlackRock has filed paperwork to debut 2 tokenized money market funds on the Ethereum network, offering stablecoin holders a regulated, yield-bearing alternative to sitting idle in digital dollars. Meaning you can earn interest on your dollars, and they didn't choose Solana, they didn't choose Supra, they chose ETH. Money markets have near $8 trillion in funds in money markets. This is the world's largest asset manager, bringing one of the biggest products in traditional finance on chain. Back at the WEF, Larry Fink told us the direction. Today, BlackRock put Ethereum at the center of it.
All investments on a tokenized platform that you can move from a tokenized money market fund to equities and bonds and back and forth. We have one common blockchain.
So this runs on Ethereum, it's backed by US Treasuries, it's built for stablecoin holders, and it follows their first product, BlackRock's BUIDL's $2.5 billion growth. Like the video if you're getting value, like the video if you appreciate these updates, because next coin we are seeing adoption happen institutionally is XRP.
What about XRP in relation to Bitcoin and Ethereum?
As the crypto market consolidates, maybe dips lower, as money flows back to the quality before we again go higher, listen to the coins that Larry Fink's friends, the institutions, listen to the signal they're sharing.
What about XRP in relation to Bitcoin and Ethereum?
Well, it's got a use case, a very specific use case, and more in particular, the XRP ledger has a use case. So Ripple, the company, has as its 13 or 14-year mission, however long it's been, to move internationally value, okay, and primarily money. And so their chain, their XPRL chain, will be used for that.
And it's growing. The stablecoin supply on the XRP ledger has doubled to over $0.5 billion in the last 5 months. That's 100% plus growth, now $568 million, and climbing fast for XRP. XRP got a huge tailwind. This was big for XRP when the Genius Act stablecoin bill passed.
The Genius Act comes along and it really opened the door. It was really effectively a permission slip for big institutions as well as the sell-side banks and others to lean into this space. Those sort of household names in the traditional finance space trust Ripple to be a partner.
And what does BlackRock, what do institutions actually care about in 2026 more than crypto?
These countries
will rapidly develop robotics and AI.
They care about AI.
2026 is shaping up to be an historic year for IPOs, with a trio of AI titans weighing up plans.
And BitTensor, which is infrastructure for decentralized AI, just got a major update.
We're in the formative phase of what BitTensor is or what it could be. We're circa 2012, 2013 Bitcoin right now.
Tau and Square has been built. This is just better UI, UX. Discover products and services powered by the BitTensor network and open market for intelligence that anyone can contribute to and use. So just understand hundreds of early stage AI and robotics startups are building using subnets. Subnets are early stage companies building on BitTensor, and BitTensor is aiming to be the solution from the centralized entities controlling AI.
It's the ethos of crypto. It's permissionless, it's global, it's decentralized. You kind of eliminate the risks associated with having these large gatekeepers, these large tech companies who are, kind of deciding, what is the data that is being trained on or the output. You're essentially kind of letting the wisdom of crowds.
Sure.
And you're doing it in a way where it's accessible.
And right now, BitTensor is still in very early days. In fact, that's why I loved this website, because it makes it so clear on the innovations that are happening. Let me take you through some of these early stage AI investments that anybody can invest in. But first, I just love this explanation from Barry Silbert.
And I've been equating to BitTensor to the early days of the internet, where when you first access the internet, you weren't going to a website, you were going to America Online, you were going to CompuServe, you were going to Prodigy, and those companies were delivering to you kind of the information that was accessible via the internet. And so, when I was on Prodigy, it was like super cool to see the weather or to see stock prices. And then in like 1995, 96, Mosaic launched the browser. And all of a sudden people realized, oh, wow, like I don't need to go through Prodigy or America Online to access the internet. I can go directly to what ultimately became weather.com or became Yahoo Finance. And that was this Cambrian explosion of innovation that only was made possible by the opening up of the internet. And so I look at BitTensor in kind of through a similar lens, where today you've got ChatGPT and you've got Claude, you've had kind of these businesses that are building these entry points. But I would rather see there be 100 or thousands of competitors to those big companies, and BitTensor enables that.
So whether you're focused on those early AI startups that focus on compute, which we know is going to be very significant, models and agents, training, finance data, predictions, robotics, that's going to be another big one, they're all building on BitTensor. And you can see, this is one of their blue chips. I own this subnet. I'm a believer. Shoots.
Yes. So I will have that link below, but I wanted to share that with you guys because, a lot of this turns into the data centers that we see, right? So whenever you see a boost in AI technology, just think, oh, this is why they're putting all these data centers. But still, in my opinion, the data centers do not serve a purpose outside of it becoming a utility, because it's not a money maker. It doesn't generate money. Now, it might generate money for the large platforms that are using it, like Google and Amazon, right, for example, or Meta. But it's not generating money for the American people. Because see, once those buildings are built, construction's done. Okay, what are the construction workers going to do? They're finished. They go home. Their job is done. And they're like, oh, well, we're going to need all of these people. No, you're not. You're going to eliminate those people because this is all AI. So it's supposed to be self-contained. Again, what happens with the humans that have to now support this mechanism so we can have all this AI? Yeah, it becomes a bigger question of why are we in such a rush to eliminate ourselves? Now, the next thing I wanted to look at, I'm going to play the full video of the recent bill that was passed. Now, this video actually kind of walks through, and you'll hear Lindsey Graham again. It's like a 2.5-minute video, but I wanted to set that up so we can really take a deep dive into this.
Mr. President,
Senator from South Carolina.
Almost 19 hours later, we're actually going to talk about the bill and what's in it. There's $69.5 billion that this amendment covers, $38.6 billion for ICE to train, equip, support ICE, $108.5 million allocated for child exploitation investigations, $22.6 billion for the Border Patrol to hire, pay, train, equip personnel, $3.5 billion for improvements to border security, $5 billion to help DHS through 2029. What we're about to do is fund the Border Patrol and ICE through the entire Trump term because you wouldn't help us. America will be safer. I ask for adoption of this amendment.
Senator from New York, Minority Leader.
After tonight's vote, it's clear to Americans that Republicans refuse to outlaw Donald Trump's $2 billion slush fund. Now the whole country can see the truth. Republicans fought like hell to please Donald Trump and his slush fund, but didn't lift a finger to help working Americans lower their costs. Think about it. Because Republicans refused to support our amendment, the only thing standing between Donald Trump and $2 billion in American taxpayer money to enrich himself, his billionaire cronies, his cop-eating insurrectionists, is a promise from Todd Blanche that could evaporate in a minute. That is not accountability. That is a permission slip. I yield the floor and urge a no vote.
On this vote, the yeas are 52, the nays are 47. This bill, as amended, is passed.
Okay. So what happened, right? And I wanted to read a comment from Spuddy. It says, also, as innovation evolves, those will be empty buildings like those old empty Walmart businesses that were luckily turned into churches in some cases. Yeah. But what we're also not talking about is the environmental impact, where the water that these data centers use and the electricity that they use is raising other people's bills. And we're going to get more into that tomorrow. I'm going to, just set aside a little bit of time to really dig into the data centers and just how they are unfortunately destroying the environment, and they don't have to. I had somebody on my show a couple of months ago, and he was like, they can use hydrogen power like they're using in, places like in Asia, right? And they don't have to be this massive. So the question becomes, why are you doing something that you know is unsuccessful? And why are our governmental officials allowing it? Those are the two questions that we need to ask. Those are the whys. And we really need to make sure that we are asking those questions. So now getting back to this act, this Senate 2 act that just passed in Congress. And I just wanted to say, what will work against Americans and any parts regarding voting. So there's no parts regarding voting in this. This is just, as Lindsey Graham said, it's a funding bill. And what it's going to do is it's going to expand enforcement and 287G. This could lead to more frequent immigration checks in communities, workplaces, or during routine policing. So U.S. citizens might encounter increased scrutiny, stops, or detainers in mixed status households or high enforcement areas, potentially causing delays, family separations for mixed status families, or errors in identification. And so this is what happens. You might get an American citizen who marries somebody so they can have their citizenship, but they may have had deportation orders. That's a separation that happens, and they may have children. So a lot of these individuals, they're getting desperate to stay here, but they're staying here illegally. There is a legal path to be here. If you are not taking the legal path to be here, you shouldn't be here. That's straight up. If you are coming here to break the law, you should not be here. You need to go back to your country. and that's it. Arrest of covered unlawful aliens in non-cooperating jurisdictions. This would be like places like Minnesota, right? Where they are just proud to go against and having the sanctuary areas, but it does not directly affect citizens. However, broader ICE presence or operations could spill over into community policing, affecting everyone. Broader technology and surveillance, again, that comes back to these data centers, personal and operation funding. So, parts regarding voting. So, there's no provisions regarding voting, right? Now, I know that, as Bud says, some folks made their own brothers to evade the laws. Yeah. Yeah. I know that Senator Schumer had mentioned, yeah, and this slush fund, it's going to be passed too. The judgment fund is a slush fund. Stop it, sir. And it was put in place before you got to Congress on a bipartisan measure. Then in the 70s, and you might have been in Congress, I don't know, because you're getting up there, to remove the cap of $100,000 to whatever nominal number you wanted, because basically Congress was like, this is too much. We can't handle the influx. We need a judgment fund. And so this was allowed by the government. Okay. Donald Trump is just putting it in there, weaponization. And it's not just for the J6ers, it's for anybody who has been defrauded by the government. And they can prove it. So I'm just saying, get your defraud on, right? Find some of these attorneys, because there may be some attorneys doing class actions to get some of this money. Just saying. So yes, and so I asked, could the increase in data centers have anything to do with the increase in the government using AI, right? Yes, the massive increase in data centers is strongly linked to broader AI boom, including growing government adoption and support for AI technologies. Okay, so that's happening. Like I said, we're going to get a little bit more into it tomorrow. Now, the next order of business that I need to get to is this report by John Bound.
The Pentagon just cranked Israel's counterintelligence threat level all the way up to critical, the highest designation, right there with our worst adversaries. U.S. officials are now using burner phones and staying tight-lipped in hotel rooms when they visit Israel because the Israelis are aggressively spying on top Trump administration people, digging for inside dope on decisions about Iran and Lebanon. This isn't some rogue operation. It's all coordinated, hyper-aggressive espionage from our so-called closest ally. Jonathan Pollard-style damage from the past should have been a warning, but here we are again. Americans are rightly asking how an ally that spies on us at this level gets treated like family.
With me, I don't care if you start throwing nukes immediately, responsibly, but immediately. And a case that I've been pushing is the use of an electromagnetic.
Okay, first sorry. I was going to say, first of all, you cannot use a nuke responsibly. Ever. What are we talking about? You can use them effectively and responsibly. No, you can't. Stop that. Insane.
Care if you start throwing nukes immediately, responsibly, but immediately. And a case that I've been pushing is the use of an electromagnetic pulse weapon or weapons against Iran. Why are we waiting to get hit?
That's Jonathan Pollard, the most famous Israeli spy in modern history, who sold out our secrets, got our agents killed, you name it. He sold to the Russians, the Chinese, the Israelis, everybody. And remember, Trump pardoned him back at the end of his first administration. So now Israel's funding will be within the Pentagon in joint weapons development, but they're going to be allowed into everything and be able to claim co-ownership of the U.S. military-industrial complex that Eisenhower told us to beware, the technological elite that control the military-industrial complex. So think about that. Then you've got 38 states that have passed laws or executive orders that if you criticize Israel in any way, or ever boycott Israel, or criticize Zionism, or what happened in Gaza, these are laws that you cannot have any government contracts or government jobs. Totally illegal, unconstitutional tyranny. And that's because Israel admits they're moving their weapons industries here to the United States. And so now if you criticize anything Israel's doing, you're shut down by the state governments, violating our First Amendment. You add that with the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, you got to read that for yourself. Total lifetime fusion integration of everything, from academia to DARPA to MIT to secret weapons development to live intelligence, telemetry, weapons guidance, weapons systems, everything. Remember, the other agencies don't even let each other know what they're doing. The other armed services branches are in competition and let them have their secrets. And that's good to keep things compartmentalized. This is, Congress doesn't even know 10% of what the Pentagon's up to. This is Israel's coup against America.
The real gut punch is what's happening in Congress at the exact same time. On the heels of the revelation of Section 224 slowly advancing, Senator Tom Cotton slipped Section 622 into the FY27 Intelligence Authorization Act. This thing locks America into permanent, unbreakable intelligence entanglement with Israel. It mandates expanded sharing, ties it to Israel's qualitative military edge, restricts the president or future Congress from scaling it back without jumping through huge legal hoops and notifying bought and paid for committees, and even pushes sharing with Abraham Accords countries. There will be no unwinding this. We are looking at Intel Fusion as a pillar of policy, handing over leverage that could bite us hard if relations sour. We'll find ourselves either towing the line for Israel or facing serious consequences. Meanwhile, the Pentagon flags Israel as a top spy threat, and lawmakers are wiring them deeper into our system. This isn't partnership. It's a one-way street that smells like foreign influence money run amok. America First means putting our sovereignty and secrets ahead of any foreign lobby. It's not optional, and it's a major insult on this 250th anniversary of our nation. John Bound reporting for the Alex Jones Network at alexjoneslive.com.
Yeah. So, I know we're winding down the show, but I wanted to show you guys just a little bit of the text. I did run it through Grok, and I will attach that link, but I just wanted to show you guys this one section. So it says, Israel remains a critical United States security partner whose defense and intelligence capabilities provide a strategic advantage that contributes to enhanced operational effectiveness and technological superiority. Why are we involved with Israel? What? But here's the best thing about this bill. Want to know the best thing about it? It's only been introduced. That's the best thing. That means we have the opportunity to go after these individuals in Congress and say, not today, not on our watch. You will not pass this. You're not doing this. All of you will be out of office, especially Section 622, right? And here is Senator Tom Cotton. Of course, this is the AIPAC tracker. He's taken over in $1 million. He's still behind Warnock. He's still behind Warnock. And Warnock just got there. But these are like all the, House representatives and senators, because Tom Cotton's a senator. This is a U.S. House of Representatives individual, Rick Crawford. They are from Arkansas. Yes, they are paid by AIPAC. And this individual, Rob Rice, he's a House representative from Arkansas. He hasn't taken any money from Israel, or at least from AIPAC, which is the American Israel Political Action Committee. This is still a foreign entity on American soil. In my opinion, they need to register as a foreign agent, right? And doing that, it would actually force them to divulge every single thing that they intend to do. And I'm going to bring a little bit of that up this week with one organization that did actually register as a foreign agent. Yeah, Show Faith by Works. I've talked about it a couple months ago, but I think it's good to bring it back up again because there is a push to push, especially Christians, into supporting Israel in such a way, in my opinion, that it becomes ideology. And that's a problem. So with that, we're going to end today's broadcast. Thank you so much for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News for Tell It All Tuesday. Remember, we will see you back here tomorrow for Women in Wellness Wednesday, and we will actually be highlighting Erin Brockovich on the show. So remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.